welcome to a podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and we're not actually going to be diving that deep into anything this week. We are both on vacation, myself and Nick, and so instead of your regular scheduled episode, throughout this week, we are putting out all of our Patreon bonus content we're compiling them into single episodes. We'll have a couple random reviews episodes and a couple pilot projections episodes throughout the week. Every day there should be a new episode, so you can go back and listen to some of the things we did on Patreon now that the Patreon is closed. So stay tuned, take a listen. They're just going to run back to back to back, and then there will be another one tomorrow with different episodes that we did. So take a listen. If you like what you hear, there will be more in a day or so. Stay classy. Welcome to a podcast about something's Patreon exclusive. Once a month, we review a random movie released in that month between 1975 and 2015. I said, baby, I don't hate you, but I hate to see you go. This month, we watched Toy Story 2, and get ready for your random review. Is that a good new intro?
I liked it.
I'm just gonna do something weird and different every time because I don't want to get a real intro for this.
Yeah, we gotta keep it fresh.
Exactly. So this is Toy Story 2. We've seen Toy Story 1 before, but we're not talking Toy Story 1. We're talking Toy Story 2 this month. I love them all, so I don't have a problem talking with any of them.
I forgot how much I love these movies.
They're really good.
They are really good. They're really heartwarming and all that, good stuff. But
so basically, the plot of this film is that Woody gets broken, so he can't go to cowboy camp. Instead of going to cowboy camp with Andy, he gets stolen by Al from Al's Toy Barn, and he's going to be put in a museum with his friends from the Woody's Roundup gang, and then his real friends, Andy's Toys, save him. That's like a 10-second overview of it. We meet a lot of new characters in this.
We do.
We get the whole Woody's Roundup gang of Jesse, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete the Prospector.
Who's a
Love
bitch.
Stinky Pete the Prospector. Yeah, he sucks.
Let me just throw that out there
first. He's a shitty dude, but I love the name Stinky Pete the Prospector.
Yeah, he was a little grumpy about that. Is probably the whole thing, but It was cool to see Woody as like that real famous, character. I guess like the Lone Ranger or some crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a bygone era.
And then we got Wheezy, the squeaker penguin, which Andy's 12 years old, dude. You don't need a fucking squeaky toy anymore. Throw that shit out.
Why is it on your dog? What are you doing?
Yeah,
you have a dog.
or your sister.
Nah, that would get annoying. She'd be like, ah, it would just squeak all the fucking time.
Then we got Al from Al's Toy Barn. We get a Barbie in this one. We get several Barbies in this one.
Yeah, we get the crazy, weird, different Barbie versions that are freaky.
Yeah, just wait. Your daughter will be playing with Barbies soon.
I don't know,
My older one's gotten them into she's gotten into them in the last 6 months, I want to say. Maybe since last Christmas. She's just been super into it. She's moved on from the princess dolls. She's into Barbie now. And everything is Barbie this, Barbie that. She had a Barbie birthday party, so it's coming. Whether you like it or not, it's coming.
Fuck.
Nah, Barbies are fine. They got a lot of jobs. There's a lot of things for them to do.
Good Americans got good jobs. Lots of jobs.
And then the big bad kind of emperors or dun dun dun.
It struck me throughout this movie at least 10 times. It was almost like product placement for Star Wars.
Yes.
It's like, damn you, Disney, which
very
now
heavy
owns
references to Star Wars.
Did they own Pixar at this point?
I think they owned Pixar, but not Star Wars.
They hadn't bought Star Wars yet.
No, not in 2001? Whenever this was, 1998 maybe? I don't know when this was. I should probably know that. I gotta look it up.
I'm surprised they got
away with it. The first one was 95. But they don't. Well, Star Wars has some issues with its licensing anyways, in that other people can, Family Guy and Robot Chicken did those full episodes basically ripping off scene for scene of Star Wars. So I think Star Wars is like very close to actual public domain where anybody can kind of use intellectual property from it.
Yet they still can't.
From the original trilogy.
Do as good.
No, not at all. I really like the Family Guy Star Wars, but that's a topic for next month when we're talking Star Wars month.
Ayo, tune in.
Toy Story 2 was 1999.
1999.
So, go ahead.
I was just thinking Toy Story 1. I remember I blew out the VHS with Toy Story 1 on it. I watched that movie so many times, but this was one I watched probably 5 or 6 times and then just haven't touched it for 10 years.
Yeah, I've seen both of these a lot. Toy Story 1 was the first movie that I ever like knew well enough to fall asleep to it when I was a kid. So like I could just turn it on the background. I knew every word. I knew what was happening, and it just played in my mind as I closed my eyes and could see it happen.
Yeah, I mean I used to do that too. Helps you fall asleep, not focus on the monsters.
Exactly. And Toy Story did that to me for now. Now it's Seinfeld that does that for me because I've seen Seinfeld 600 times. But Toy Story's was the big one at the time.
Yeah, I think that was at one point or another, kids growing up see Toy Story and they love it. And that kind of spirit of Toy Story continues on in a Toy Story 2, which is really hard for sequels to do. Because it definitely has a distinct spirit to it. Like it's really, really, its own flavor, and it's really fun. And the voice acting.
Well, it kind of grew a little bit with the audience because,
absolutely.
I was 1995. I was 8 years old. So by 1999, I'm 11 or 12, right? So as an 11 or 12-year-old, you're not buying toys to play with them anymore, but you're looking at them kind of as a collector almost, and you're starting to get closer to that mindset, so you can kind of see it from both sides. And a 8-year-old seeing this one for the first time can also enjoy it, which again, really hard for a sequel to do, really hard for a movie like this to resonate with the growing audience. Harry Potter does a good job of that, going through the books and letting its audience grow with it. But like Shrek was like the first one was really good, and then the second one had like a steep drop off no matter what age you were.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's a really hard thing to replicate.
And the third one of Shrek was even worse, and the fourth was even worse. But like Toy Story keeps being good. Like Toy Story 3 is great, Toy Story 4 is great. All the little one-off Christmas and Halloween things are really good. Like they keep it fresh for the viewers, which is nice. And I'm 30 some odd years old now, and I will still watch anything Toy Story.
I'm game for that. And I mean, they keep it fresh. Like it's something that they didn't pound out 4 of them in 6 years. I mean, it's 2019 and one just came out this year, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And it's easy because no one's died, so they get to keep all the voice actors and stuff. Tom Hanks is
that's not true. Jim Varney died. The voice of Slinky Dog in Toy Story 1 and 2. He died between 2 and 3, and they replaced him with, I don't know the name off the top of my head. He plays Chet Hunter in Boy Meets World. You'd know him if you saw him. Like he's very he's got that gravelly voice. I'm gonna say his name and it's not gonna make sense, but
that is a bit of trivia I had no idea.
Blake Clark. I learned that while watching Toy Story 4 because I noticed like the voice sounds a little different, and I looked it up and I was like, I knew Jim Varney died, and I was like, well, who took over for him when Jim Varney died? And it's Blake Clark, who, again, you would know him if you saw him. He was in every sitcom in the 90s as some one-off character. That would make a couple appearances every season.
And he's getting like 32 revenue streams worth of royalties from different TV shows.
Yeah, he was in Home Improvement. He's Boy Meets World. He was in, let's see. He's Farmer Fran in Waterboy. That might be a little easier to picture. The guy with the overalls, yeah.
You like see grown men naked?
He's in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Jamie Foxx Show. I'm just kind of looking through his 90s sitcoms. Drew Carey Show.
Well, he's a good replacement. Roseanne.
Yeah, he does a good job. Like, you can barely tell if you don't know. Like, if you know, you can tell, but other than that, there's no way.
What if he did the Waterboy voice?
If he just all of a sudden in Toy Story 3, Slinky's, lost a few steps mentally. And
lost a few steps. They just, nothing gets mentioned about it. It's just like a serious scene, and it's like, oh,
It would be funny if like they did that, and instead of Slinky Dog like having the Slinky in the middle, like the Slinky was really stretched out and twisted everywhere, and then he's talking like that.
he's missing an ear and shit.
Yeah. So before we get into the actual movie, as we already haven't really, who is your favorite Toy Story toy?
I was gonna say, who is my favorite Toy Story? It's Woody, dude. Woody is the shit. Woody is my continuous favorite character, I guess, but Buzz Lightyear, man, they're like right there together.
Woody and Buzz are good. I like Rex. Something about his like neurotic and anxious, you know, all the time. He's trying so hard, but he just can't do it.
I can't
And I like
reach
his
with my
voice.
arms.
Yeah. My arms are too short. I can't reach all the buttons.
Is that Greg Moranis?
It is not Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. I said Greg
It
Moranis.
is Wallace Shawn. He was the teacher in Clueless. He's been in a bunch of other stuff too.
Never seen that.
You've never seen Clueless? Man, you got to get up on your late 90s, early 2000s chick flicks. Nick's wife, get him on that.
Very niche. Very niche.
They're so good though.
She's been watching all kinds of good shit with me. She watched The Mandalorian with me last night, and she
Nice.
is her explicit statement on Star Wars is, "It is gay." I don't fuck
Wow.
with that shit.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
Harsh.
Yeah, not a fan of Star Wars, but she watched it and was like, "Yeah, that's
Nick's
pretty
wife
cool."
needs to get woke.
She's, you know how it is.
Her force needs to awaken. Anyway, Star Wars Month is next month.
Corny
Let's
month.
stop going off on that. All right, so let's jump into this movie now that we're 10 minutes in, or 11 minutes in. We start out with the best looking video game I've ever seen in my life.
Dude,
Like,
Banana
seriously fucking dope video game that
So
Rex
good.
can't beat Zurg. Yeah, I want to play that version of a Toy Story game.
And the animation was incredible. Let me throw that in there for this game.
Yeah,
Absolutely stunning.
exactly. Like, I've played the Toy Story Sega and Super Nintendo games, and they are nothing like this game in Toy Story 2.
No, it's intense, man. Your heart's beating. Your heart's beating.
So Andy's on his way to cowboy camp. His mom comes in and gets him. She tells him he's got 5 minutes. He sets up this big, world and this battle between evil Dr. Porkchop and Woody and Buzz. And I always liked how Andy could just like come up with these huge scenarios, because that's how I played with my action figures when I was a kid. Like, I would just make up these full storylines and just go through it, and like they would go on for weeks, and I would know exactly where I picked up. So like, it's really cool. He's like, 5 more minutes. All right, let me set up this shit and go, and bam, evil Dr. Porkchop's got him.
Yeah. What the
But
hell?
then he rips Woody.
Bastard.
Woody gets put on the shelf, where he finds Wheezy, Wheezy ends up in the garage sale. Woody tries to go save him, and that's where things start to go downhill.
Yeah, it quickly goes downhill because we learn that after they all go to this garage sale outside. I love how they have it rehearsed and everything. But
When they're
apparently,
doing like the crime scene.
well, no, whenever they figure out there's a garage sale going on, he's like, "Garage sale!"
Oh yeah.
And everybody
How
starts,
to hide and everything.
yeah, everybody starts freaking out, and Woody goes down there, and unfortunately, he's worth a lot of money. And that punk bastard Al,
Fucking Al.
seriously,
I'll give you 50 cents for all this crap.
trying to steal. What a booty man. What a booty.
Well, and then he does
booty
actually
person.
steal. In these movies, they always gave me like a complex about my toys. Like, I always thought like that they had feelings. I had to keep them in constant rotation, because if I didn't, I would hurt one of their feelings. And I know they wouldn't actually wake up and do things, but like, I still felt bad for my toys if they didn't get played with.
I mean, you gave him you assigned a personality whenever you played with
Exactly.
him. Like, I don't know, I did that with my Ninja Turtles. Like, my Mikey is my favorite Mikey because it's my Mikey, if you know what I mean.
I had like 15 Mikeys though. I mean,
Dude, I had
you
my
got
specific
Surfer Mikey,
one.
you got Baseball Mikey, you got regular Mikey, you got Movie Mikey. They all do different things, man. So then, Woody gets stolen. Buzz tries to chase after the car. He reads the license plate, and Buzz is just the worst detective.
He's like, huh?
Like, he gets a chicken feather. He has the license plate, and the dude stole a toy. Those are 3 like huge clues, and Buzz just like can't put it together. Like, chicken guy stealing toys and a license plate that says L's Toy Burn. Like, you got to be able to figure that out.
It took me a minute
man.
to figure out. Not gonna lie, mostly because I had a screaming child on my lap.
Well,
but that's big difference.
Well, yeah, that doesn't help. And then, so Woody gets taken, and Al's really mad. He's got to leave right away. He's got to go all the way into the office, all the way on a Saturday, and it's just like right across the road. Which I always love that joke, where they're like, "Oh, I got to go so far," and then it's like right there.
Let's go.
I always like that joke. Yeah.
Barely get their car started, and they're already there.
Yeah. There was a episode, I believe it was of Bobby's World, but it might not have been. It was some 90s cartoon where like the whole episode was about the family and mostly the kids in the family freaking out about having to move. And like, what are they going to do? What are their friends? They got to find a new school, all this stuff. And then like the end of the episode comes and they're all packed up. They're ready to move. You know, they go through the whole thing. You know, moving's a part of life. Sometimes we have to move and we can't control it, blah, 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 that whole thing. And they accept it. And then they move, and they move like right next door. So I've always liked that joke where it's like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And then they move, and they go really close.
10 feet away.
So then Woody meets the Roundup Gang, which is what we've all been waiting for. And he learns that he was basically everything. He was a yo-yo, he was toys, he had records, he was a TV show, everything. And he eats that shit up.
Oh yeah, with a big spoon. And I'd eat it up too, man, because there's a snake in my boot toy was the best.
That was kind of dope.
That was the best. I would have had so much fun with that.
I mean, Woody is kind of really super egotistical too.
Yeah, he's
and really, I think that's the message of all these movies. Every movie, it's about him being selfish and like, no, I'm the fucking best. You guys suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a snake in his boot. Of course, he is like the center of attention at all times. He's Andy's favorite. And I think it's funny that, you know, in this small little world of toys coming to life and everything they've created, because he's someone's it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Almost that weird translation to real life.
Exactly.
Very odd.
And, you know, so Jesse and Stinky Pete, they kind of tell him all about it and, you know, that they're bound for the museum in Japan, blah, blah, blah. And they start playing with all the toys and playing with the record. They run on the record and the record player, and they're watching the show. And like, I'm just sitting there going, if I was Al, I would be fucking pissed if I knew what these toys were up to.
Oh, I'd be furious.
They're literally wrecking shit, and that's millions of dollars for him probably.
Dude, I would set up, because I don't know about you, but I notice when my stuff gets messed with. Like,
yes.
Like
I know kind of where everything is, and if something's not in its place, like I notice it.
Yeah, especially like the condition of things. Like if something new pops up and it's like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
Cameras, especially because you know he doesn't have any chicks coming to his house.
Exactly. I just spent most of the afternoon reorganizing my Star Wars shelves because I got another shelf because I needed more shelf space for Star Wars things. So I had to reorganize it, and I'm having a really tough time organizing by like, do I go by movie, by trilogy, by this, by that, and I think I landed on light side, dark side, and then just kind of arranging by size because it's too hard to because for the original trilogy I have like a fucking 100 things, and then for the sequel trilogy I have like 5 things, so I can't separate them that
I would do light,
far.
Dark, and like anti-hero, or that's kind of gray area.
Well, so I have light, dark, vehicles, and then like diorama, like kind of bigger things that barely, like only 1 or 2 can fit on a shelf.
Oh yeah, right on. I feel you.
So
have you gotten any
again,
Mandalorian
Star
stuff
Wars
yet?
No, because I wanted to see it first to know who the character was. Like if I picked up that droid, like that gets. Never mind, we won't go into it. I didn't want to pick up that droid because I didn't know if he was cool or not. Turns out he's kind of an asshole.
He is, but he's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so then, we learn more about these characters, and the way I saw it watching this movie as an adult now, Stinky Pete and Jesse are basically just human trafficking Woody here.
When you put it like that, that's quite true.
Let me lay it out here. They gaslight him into thinking that Andy's abusive because he's like, oh, you got broke. Why would Andy break you? Why would he ever do a thing like that? And And he didn't do it on purpose. It was
He's a
this
kid
whole
playing
like,
with a toy.
yeah, it was this abusive spouse kind of rhetoric of like, and Woody's just sitting there going, oh, it's not like that. You don't know what you're talking about. He loves me. It's for my own good type thing.
Yeah, nah, B.
Um,
It's
he has lost his arm and he tries to leave, and Stinky Pete goes, oh, he won't last them. He won't last an hour out there on his own. Like he's a fucking toy. Nobody's gonna do anything to him. What's gonna happen?
I'd take the fuck if I saw. Let me just say
Well,
this.
I would pick it up. But like
No,
Stinky Pete's talking like he's gonna get eaten by an alligator.
I mean, he might. Is he in Florida? You tell me.
No, they're in the tri-state area.
That could be anywhere.
Exactly. Anywhere there's 3 states
Yeah, I
close
was gonna
by.
say except for Alaska, Hawaii.
And then they kind of convince him through more abusive patterns that the museum is a better place to be. It's better to be with Jesse and Stinky Pete because Andy's eventually going to grow out of him, and he doesn't really need him anymore, but they need him, so he should really be with them. So everyone except for Bullseye. Bullseye's just there being a pal, which is great. Shout out Bullseye.
Yeah, Bullseye is like man's.
Everybody else is just like, no. You come with us, you'll be safe. I promise.
Well, yeah,
I promise.
sit behind this glass all the time, and you'll never get played with. And Woody, I don't know why I said that, but I do know why I said that because I was watching Iron Man 3 earlier. But Woody, he wants to be played with. Like he loves being loved by a kid. Whether he says it in the movie after there's this confrontation between the groups, I want to be there for every minute.
He wants to be there for it all. Yeah.
And that's.
I get it.
I feel that too. And
yep, my toys were there for me.
Yeah, and I was there for my toys until I threw them in the trash.
They also guilt trip him about like they have to go back if he leaves. They have to go back into storage, and they're in these dark boxes, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
but then we kind of flash over to Andy's toys. They've made it to Al's toy barn. They're walking down the aisles. Rex picks up a strategy guide for his video game, for his Buzz Lightyear video game. What are your thoughts on strategy guides overall as a tool?
Hated them because I never liked them. Never wanted to pay $20 for a strategy guide because
I've always been playing video games for the most part in the internet era also.
Well,
so like I could just Google shit if I got stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Back in the day, you had to just figure shit out. Like
right.
I remember my first playthrough of Halo 1. I had to figure everything out, and there's some of that where you get so turned around and you're just lost for hours. And I remember wandering for fucking hours just trying to figure out where to go. So I guess it would have been beneficial, but I think you find a lot cooler stuff whenever you.
Yeah, I like to hunt for it. So what I do now with games is I'll hunt. I'll try and figure it out on my own. If I'm really, really stuck, I'll Google just that one thing. I'm not paying, $20 for take this step, then take that step, then take this step. Now I will say I'm trying to play through the original NES Zelda, and I have to use a strategy guide because the map is so fucking. I have a map. I have a walkthrough. I have to do it because I get too confused and turned around in there, kind of like you were saying with Halo.
It's banana.
Because that map is fucking huge, and I just want to get to the end because I never got to the end. And I think I only have one more dungeon to beat, and I don't play it enough that I've beaten it yet. But and I was always a big fan. I didn't go for the strategy guide, but I would put in cheat codes. Like, give me that invincible cheat code. Give me the unlimited webbing in Spider-Man. Give me the cool alternate costumes. Give me all the racers unlocked, that kind of thing in a racing game. Like, I was fine playing through once and then just unlocking everything else with cheat codes.
But now they just make you pay for that shit.
Right. And I didn't want to, like, I get if you could benefit more from more and more playthroughs because you unlock more stuff. But, like, for me, it was like, no, just I'll play through it once. I'll see what all the levels are, see what the game's like, and then I'm going cheat codes for the rest of the time. Like 007 Nightfire, perfect example. I played through, I beat it, and then I hit the unlock everything cheat code so I could just go back and jump in and out of levels. You had everything in multiplayer then. Like, I wasn't gonna just grind through every level 15 times to make sure I unlocked everything.
I heard that.
So then we get to Jessie explaining that she once had a kid named Emily and she was the best. And we get the saddest definitely top 2 saddest moments in a Toy Story movie. The going into the incinerator in Toy Story 3, I don't know where they rank 1 and 2, but they're close. Where we get Emily's song and how she left Jesse behind when she grew up and all of that.
So sad.
Very sad. There's a and I can't watch it. Like I can't look at it. I had it playing on my tablet. Like I just was diligently, mostly while I was watching it, I would, check in on it and laugh at the funny parts. But like I had to diligently work as that was on, and I'm listening to the song and I'm just like, no, can't do it.
I made myself watch it because it's like, damn it, my toys felt this. These
Yeah.
bastards.
All those toys.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying so hard to get them, reacquire all of them now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as in.
I wouldn't even throw out broken toys, man. You lose a hand, that's on you. Man up. We're still going into battle.
Fuck yeah. We'll figure it out.
So there's a theory out there that Emily is actually Andy's mom.
I heard that or I read that theory, and I thought that was really fascinating, actually.
I like it. It mostly hinges on the hat Andy wears in Toy Story 1 is actually Jesse's hat and not Woody's hat. So and Woody was passed down as like a family heirloom, she says in Toy Story 2. So like maybe she had the set at one point, but why would she give up Jesse and not Woody? Maybe she had a brother that was Woody's, I don't know. My other thing is like I feel like Jesse would notice and mention it. Like, hey, I know that chick.
Well, yeah.
The mom might not know. I mean, the mom would notice, but we don't ever hear the mom talk that much.
Mm-hmm.
So like there wouldn't be a conversation where we'd hear it. But I feel like Jessie, we hear her speak enough that she would bring it up at some point.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think you're right. That would have to be later
I do
on,
like the idea of like tying it all together.
That would be really neat. And I mean, I could totally see Pixar going that deep.
Yeah. They're very good at that.
They're super good at, they're very, very thorough, that's for sure.
And then we're back in the toy store. Buzz comes across a row of Buzz Lightyears, and he wants the utility belt off one of them and gets his ass kicked by Space Ranger Buzz. And I'm really glad that we got back to dumb Space Ranger Buzz.
Yeah, me too.
That's kind of a fun dynamic to have with him just being like thinking that everything's alien life.
He's fucking hilarious, that's for sure. Especially when they take off Buzz hits Buzz's dome and it's just like and he freaks out.
And that's how they find out. Yeah. And that was another part I like when they're like, "How are we gonna get in there?" And he's, "Use your head." I don't want to use my head.
Do I have to use my head again? That was.
So Woody Woody's all in. He's gonna go, and then his friends show up, and he's gonna go to the museum in Japan. His friends show up and kind of talk him out of it. He realizes he's being gaslit this whole time. Like he's like, "Oh wait, no, you guys come with me, and Andy can play with us all." And bum bum bum, surprise surprise, the guy named Stinky fucking Pete is the bad guy.
Yeah, he's a dick. Let's just throw that out there right now.
Yeah, and so they're trying to make their escape once Stinky Pete turns on them, Al packs them all up. All the other friends have to make their escape, and they run into Zurg. And then we get the reveal that Zurg is Buzz's father, in very much the same way that we see it in Star Wars, and actually exactly the same way we see it in Star Wars.
Very, very similar. Borderline.
So I've got to ask a question. Does this ruin Star Wars for children? Like, my kids experienced Toy Story first. Is this going to ruin Star Wars for them?
No, they won't remember that shit.
I mean, I've already told them, like, we've watched the original trilogy that they didn't watch closely, but, like, I kind of pointed out, like, oh, Darth Vader's their dad, blah, 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 kind of stuff. But, like, how do you throw that in there? Like, you can't ruin one of the biggest twists ever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's more of an Easter egg for us as adults.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what it's planned at. They're not hiding that they're referencing Star Wars in any of this. With the video game, they have like the Darth Vader breathing in it. A lot of the sounds in the video game, like Buzz tries to grab that battery and it makes like the lightsaber sound. So like they're really saying like Buzz's life is basically Star Wars here.
Go Star Wars.
But then 5 seconds later, Rex fucking kills Buzz's dad, or at least in Buzz's mind he does. And like they're just like, oh, whatever.
Bye.
Good. Evil Emperor Zurg. And later, Buzz is having a catch with him, so he didn't actually kill him. But I just thought that was weird that, like, Rex knocked him off the elevator, basically killed him, and everybody's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry, bro. See ya.
Then we get the escape from the airport. This chase I've always felt like drags on a bit. Like there's a little too much to it.
It goes on for quite a while, and it's banana land, man.
Yeah, they
It's
go
banana
up
land.
and down the conveyor belts. They chase the airplane on fucking Bullseye, the stuffed horse somehow. But I got to give a shout out because clearly, it was an inspiration for Fast Six when they're chasing that plane down the longest runway ever. So if we don't have this movie, then Fast Six may not happen. So I love the Fast and Furious movies. I gotta give props there.
Vin Diesel was high as fuck watching Toy Story 2, and
Story's
he's like,
yo,
"Yo, dude,
if a fucking toy horse can catch a plane, we can catch a plane in my Dodge Charger."
fuck yeah!" He called Ludacris like, "Bro, hear me out." And Ludacris just spit some of the fire blueberry yum yum shit over the phone, and there you go. You get, a new movie in the multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Exactly. And then, all the toys are there for Andy when he gets back from cowboy camp. I get that Andy thinks his mom bought the toys, but where does the mom think the toys come from? Like he's got 3 new toys now?
She ain't paying attention to that shit.
I guess so.
She's like, "Andy, I just got me a bottle of wine. Be quiet for the next
Single divorced mom can't
4 hours.
take the time to care what toys her kid has. That's always my problem in like Santa movies too, is like, all right, the presents are coming from somewhere. How do you adults not believe in Santa if Santa is literally real?
That is a good question.
And then we get a scene with Ham trying to play the video game, and Ham asks Rex for help, and Rex like, "Oh no, I don't need to. I beat the real guy." And I'm like, "Nah, you would still be fucking playing that video game."
I'd be playing the shit out of that video game, especially because we'd be like, "Oh, here I go, right here. Check me out."
Exactly. You got the strategy guy. You're ready to go. And then we get the one last commercial from Al's Toy Barn where he's like crying, and I'm like, all right, this company's not gonna air that ad. They're the biggest toy store in the Tri-County area. Like, they would just reshoot the ad when he's not fucking crying, or get a new actor to be in the chicken suit.
Yeah, they'd fire
Come
the
on,
shit out of that guy. This is,
Well, I mean, he owns the toy. Like, he's Al of Al's Toy Barn. They can't fire him. They just wouldn't let him do the commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, right, dude. If he's paying him, they'd be like, "I don't care if he's pissing himself on air. Go for
That's
it, buddy."
That's probably true, too. That's a good point. All right. You talked me into it. And then they do, during the credits, they have all these quote-unquote outtakes, which, like, it's animated, so there's no actual outtakes, but they stage outtakes. I really like that. That's cool.
I thought that was a great addition. I was really happy with that.
Absolutely. So overall, like, we gotta wrap this up. This is one of our longer ones because Toy Story is fucking awesome, and toys are awesome, and we got into Star Wars talk a lot for some reason. Issues and logic aside, like we said earlier, this is just a great sequel and great series overall. I love all of Toy Story, and I can watch any of them all day. This one gets an 8 out of 10. Toy Story 1 is a 9 out of 10, so this takes a little step back, but not too much.
No, it was still a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah.
Did you have any other thoughts that we haven't already covered?
I think
and you have to rate it.
It's a good callback to a bygone era of great sequels. That just doesn't happen these days. I mean, look at it. Arguably, in my opinion, I enjoyed Toy Story 2 ultimately better than Toy Story 1, just because I got to know the characters in Toy Story 1. And it took the whole movie, and this was really just an adventure with those characters. So it was a lot more.
Built on, like, we got some new characters. It built on the lore of Toy Story, and it's one of the better sequels out there.
Exactly. It's almost.
It's like Aliens, Toy Story 2,
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Yeah.
After Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
All right, so that's all we got for. Oh, you didn't rate it.
I really like your rating of 8 out of 10. I think that's a solid rating for Toy Story 2.
Good job. Way to just take my answer.
8.1, bitch. What's up?
There you go. That's all we got for Toy Story 2. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a patron. Next month is Star Wars month. Everything we're doing is Star Wars, so we're not picking a random movie necessarily because we have to do a Star Wars movie, and as fate would have it, only one Star Wars movie fits our rules for random reviews.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Force Awakens, Episode 7.
Yeah.
Released in December of 2015. So it hits, it's between 1975 and 2015. I'm sure it's rated above a 4 on IMDb. I sure hope so.
I'm positive.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's what we got. So Force Awakens next month, and pilot projections on The Mandalorian next month. So it's going to be a fun time to hang out with a podcast about something.
For as little as $1 a month.
Yes. Thanks for stopping by.
The Bible says man without vision shall surely die.
Welcome to a podcast about some things Patreon exclusive. Once a month, we review a random movie released in that month between 1975 and 2015.
I said, baby, I don't hate you, but I hate to see you go.
Welcome to a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. We are diving into Star Wars, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, for our random review.
Right? Can't even wait.
So, as far as I can remember, this was my first Star Wars in a movie theater, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I definitely missed the original trilogy in the theater. That's no question.
Yeah, totes.
And then where I lived when Episode 1 came out, there wasn't like a theater close enough that we went out of our way. And then definitely didn't see Episode 2 in a theater, which thank God. And I don't think I saw I might have seen Episode 3 in the theater. That would be the only one. But Episode 7, I remember being in the theater. I went at like my first daughter had just been born, like 3 months before. And I went at like 9 o'clock in the morning. It was about 60% full, I would think, on opening weekend. And it just felt so great to like see and feel that opening crawl in a movie theater.
Oh, hell yeah.
Even if I saw Episode 3, it was 2005. I'm 17 years old. Like, I like it, but I can't be too into it at that time. Like, you still got to be you got to be cool. So,
yeah,
and Star Wars in 2005 was not a cool thing. That's completely changed now, and I'm all for it.
Well, it's all right to indulge. But I mean, it was bad in its own time. It's not like we look back on it and we're like, yeah, those movies were really bad. We all knew they were fucking bad while they were coming out.
I liked them. Episode 2 was really fucking boring for most of it, but the arena battle's still great. There are some other great things in it. But
there's like
going
35
back and watching,
minutes of good movie.
Well, yeah.
And then 2 hours of weird exposition that
Episode 2 is definitely the roughest one. But like everything on Camino is cool. Everything
Revenge of the Sith was pretty harsh too.
It was better than Attack of the Clones though. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about The Force Awakens, how great it felt in 2015 to see that opening crawl, to feel it in a movie theater, and we just get it right off the bat. Luke Skywalker is missing. What do we even do? How do you have a Star Wars movie without Luke Skywalker? It hadn't been done. I guess it had been done. The prequels didn't have Luke Skywalker, but they had a Skywalker. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it felt like, I don't know, I was at like the perfect point in my life that it felt like ours instead of our parents' thing, you know?
Right.
Like my dad introduced me to Star Wars, so it's something he always had that original trilogy over me, so it was really exciting to get a new trilogy that felt like ours.
Yeah, it was always just something like I enjoyed watching, but I didn't go like super deep on it, and then I started getting deeper and deeper into it as The Force Awakens was leading up, and it just like hit me, and I was literally on the edge of my seat for the whole thing.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Very good movie.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily hold up to rewatches.
I don't know. I enjoyed it when I watched it last week.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
It's not that on the edge of it's not that on the edge of your seat feeling the whole time.
Nothing really like it is, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. But we get right off the bat a new planet, Jakku. Looks a lot like Tatooine. I like the
serious Tatooine vibes. Yeah, for sure.
I like the new Stormtrooper look. I like the old a little bit better, but the new Stormtroopers look good too.
They look pretty good. They look pretty solid.
We get a new cocky pilot, and we get a new droid, BB-8.
Super cute. Fucking love it.
So he's my least favorite main droid. He's cool, but if you're lining up R2D2, and we're going to talk about this on our movie superlatives episode coming out Monday, but if you put up R2D2, K2SO, L337, Chopper from the Rebels series, and just a lot of these different, droids that have personality. Now, C-3PO, he goes way on the bottom of the list. But
he's
BB-8 out of those, 5, he's my number 5. I didn't feel it.
He, too cute. He's too cute.
Yeah, they were definitely going for, this is the cute vibe, instead of, the R2-D2 utilitarian, but also sassy vibe.
Exactly. He's almost a third party member. Anytime a group of twos out there, R2's there. Same thing in the prequel movies when it was Obi-Wan and Anakin. He was always their sidekick. Whereas BB-8, I feel is a sidekick.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yep. Nope. I completely understand. Now, I will say that it is super cool. The effect that they built, BB-8, the actual machine that they built, because it's real, it's a practical effect. There is a droid out there that looks like that moves around, and the way they make it move is super cool. At Galaxy's Edge, my daughter and I built one of these, and it moves the same way the actual model from Star Wars moves. It's got this big magnet in it, basically, and it uses that magnet to keep itself moving somehow, and it just rolls, and you can turn it in directions. And now, obviously, the one they made for the movies, or several they've made for the movies, are a lot sturdier and work a lot better than this one that we built at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. But it's kind of cool that it's a practical effect, and that it works in the real world. It can roll over almost anything, and we got to build one and use it in the same way that people filming the movie got to use it.
That's super dope. I would love to do that. The effects are fucking awesome.
Which this movie got back to a lot of that, which we lost in the prequels. Again, I still ride for the prequels, and I will, but they were very CGI heavy. And it's not that the things didn't look good, because a lot of it still looked good. The CGI was good. It was just hard for the actors to bounce off of the CGI as much as they can bounce off practical effects. And you see it most with Yoda, I think, going from the puppet to CGI Yoda.
Yeah. Well, it's just Yoda wasn't Yoda anymore to me. It was weird.
It's very spry.
Very spry, and he's too animated. That sounds, like an oxymoron, but he was too fucking animated. Yoda was...
But now we have Baby Yoda, so it's all good.
Dude, so cute.
Love Baby Yoda. Stay tuned next week for the Mandalorian talk.
Oh, hell yeah.
Then we get Kylo Ren, the new villain. All this lead up, you see all the toys, all the posters. This guy in a mask, he's got Vader's mask on this mantle, and... holy shit. He walks out and just stops a fucking blaster bolt midair.
Yeah, it just turns and boom.
Got it. And then just holds it there. He could have let it go at any time, could have lowered it to the ground. No, he holds it there till he leaves.
He could have just...
And that was... that's when I was all in. I was all right, they're talking, whatever, Blood Raven's there, and he's talking to Poe Dameron. That's all fine. Here's the map to Luke Skywalker. Great. Then we get the shot of the stormtroopers. They run off the airship, and then Kylo comes out and catch that blaster bolt. And I'm just all right, fuck it.
That's when I scooted up and to the edge of my seat and was like, okay, all right.
Yep, I'm here now.
Yeah, I'm here now. I'm here.
And like I said, the First Order, the stormtroopers come off that ship. They are clearly more ruthless than the Empire. They just come out just shooting up this village right out of the gate, no questions asked. Not even really looking for anybody. They're just shooting everything they can, setting it on fire.
Sounds about right.
Then you've got Finn, who is not there for that.
Poor Finn.
Sees one guy dying, he's just like, nah, fuck this.
I wonder if he'd been in any battles before that. Or if
he says it was his first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see that those are little things that I miss and would catch on a rewatch. But he immediately is like, yeah, this blows. I'm not really trying to kill people.
No, he wasn't there for that. He was there for sanitation duty. Once blasters start going off, he's out.
Yeah.
And then, going back to Kylo for just a minute, his backstory and his inner conflict, everything about him is so much more compelling than what we got out of Darth Vader in the original trilogy, and any of the villains in the first trilogy, like in the prequel trilogy. Like, they could have made Anakin into the same type of conflicted person in the prequels, but they just didn't get it all the way there.
He's too
He
robotic.
should have been that way.
He was too
Yeah,
robotic.
he should have been that way, and I don't know if it was Hayden Christensen's fault or the writing. He just like didn't get all the way to, okay, he's truly conflicted. He wants to save the people around him. He wants to be good. Palpatine's pulling him in this direction, and the Jedi are pulling him in this other direction, but not letting him be fully there either. They're kind of limiting what he can do. Palpatine's kind of trying to tell him to use his full power. So he has this great conflict in him, and it never comes fully across on the screen in the prequels.
No, and I think Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren, is
Adam Driver's so fucking good.
He's just a different caliber actor. That dude is phenomenal.
He's by far the best actor in any Star Wars movie.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Harrison Ford, you could argue.
Not even. Dude.
But Harrison
Ford's a one-note pony.
Right, he's there to have fun, and he does great at that. But he is not like, he doesn't have the range that Adam Driver has.
No, definitely not.
Adam Driver, I've never seen anything bad that I didn't like from him.
And this was like my first introduction to him, so at the same time, I was really excited.
I don't know that I had seen anything else. I knew he existed. He was in that HBO show Girls, and I was like, all right, the guy from Girls, whatever. But I don't know that I'd actually seen him in anything else until this, and then I've seen him in a lot of things since, and just every time I'm glued to the screen when he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch Girls, and I haven't, but he, like, when my wife was watching it, if he was on screen, I was kind of like looking over her shoulder, paying attention a little bit more, because he's so good.
He is very good.
And then we get, the introduction of Captain Phasma. As Finn returns to the ship, she tells him to go off. And I don't have much to say about Phasma, and neither did the movie, really. I wanted her to be a badass. She looks badass. They've got fucking Brienne of Tarth playing her.
Yeah, Gwendoline Christie.
Yeah, and this is probably my biggest thing that I don't like about the sequels, is that they did not give her room to spin out there at all.
Well, they introduced all these new characters from the get-go, so it was really hard.
You've got to get everybody time. You've got Hux out there, Domhnall Gleeson playing Hux. He's got to get his time. You've got to establish Snoke. You got to show what Kylo Ren's about. You still got the original three from the original trilogy. You've got to give them time. You got Rey, you got Finn, you got Maz. Maz is another one that should have more screen time.
Yeah, she's super integral to the story, and I mean, she has I 6
think she's
minutes.
Going to come in a lot in Rise of Skywalker. I think she's gonna, I think they've been teasing her a little bit, and she's gonna play a big part coming up here.
She's gonna have to. I need to know how she got that goddamn lightsaber, but we'll get there.
Well, yeah, that's the most important thing. So then we flash back to Jakku, and we get introduced to Rey. Another just fantastic introduction of her, scavenging her way through these ships from the Battle of Jakku, which we talked about on last week, from the Rise and Fall of the Empire episode. We see everything we need to in that first 3 minutes of screen time from her. She's just out there. She's alone. She's searching for something. And in this case, it's literal. She's just, spelunking and trying to scavenge things. But on the other hand, that's her whole motivation for everything, is she wants to find who she is and where she fits in the world. So this first, 3 minute scene of her spelunking through these ships is everything we need to know about her. She's just perpetually searching.
Yeah, she's alone is the best way.
And that too.
They show these wide panning shots of her just by herself in this gigantic, empty, decaying ship. And
she's all alone and searching, but she's not out of her depth at all.
No, she's extremely comfortable.
Is there, yeah. And that's through her search for who she is in this world. She's extremely comfortable, and she's willing to take risks to find those things. Just like she's willing to take risks in those ships. Going in there by yourself, who would do that? You could fall. You could, anything could happen in there. But
she's trying to survive.
She's willing. Yeah, she's willing to take risks to find what she's searching for.
I gotta say this. She would be a fantastic Lara Croft. Just saying.
Yeah, that's
the vibe I got from.
I didn't mind in that latest movie. I didn't mind Alicia Vikander.
Never watched it.
the Tomb Raider movies, even with Angelina Jolie, like they're not that good.
No, they're awful.
It's hard to make video game movies for whatever reason. But I just like, I think putting Daisy Ridley into Lara Croft is too on the nose from like, well, she was spelunking in this movie, so let's put her in a different one.
Yeah.
But I agree, she would be good.
That's yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, let's move on. Then, she finds whatever she finds. She takes it to our boy, Unkar Plot. And there's just so many cameos in this.
Yeah.
I just want to list them off here. Max von Sydow was the first one, Blood Raven, as I mentioned earlier. This guy is Simon Pegg. Unkar Plot is played by Simon Pegg. We got Jojen Reed. I don't know his real name, but he's Jojen in Game of Thrones. Daniel Craig is in there. Ben Schwartz and Bill Hader do the voice animations for BB-8. There's just so many people that were like sitting just waiting to get in on being in Star Wars. And they don't even give a shit how little the part is here.
I wouldn't. Fuck it.
Like Daniel Craig is literally the stormtrooper that Rey mind tricks.
Yeah.
That's his only thing.
But he
gets punked out in about 6 seconds of screen time.
That's a dope role though. And you don't even see his
absolutely.
face.
And then I love that they brought in Ben Schwartz and Bill Hader, who are these great, talented voice actors. You got John Ralphio and I don't know, Bill Hader's fucking everything.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Oh, got run over by Alexis. Can you just see BB-8 saying that?
Fuck yeah.
And these guys are just doing these beeps and boops coming out of BB-8. That's fucking great. Like, you can get literally anyone to make a beeping sound, but they got John Ralphio and Bill Hader.
They had so much fun in the booth. You already know.
Oh, I'm sure. And they're still doing it with all three movies, so that's good for them.
Hell yeah.
And then we go back to Finn trying to help Poe escape from the Star Destroyer that he was brought to after Kylo Ren fails to retrieve the information from him. Or he does. No, actually, he does retrieve the information from, because they know the droid is on Jakku. I just love Poe's confidence here after Finn breaks him out, and they're like, hey, he's like, can you fly one of these TIE fighters? He's just like, I can fly anything. Put me in the pilot seat. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here, bro. Let's go.
And speaking of which, the new TIE fighters, definitely an upgrade over the old ones. They look much cooler, very sleek, all black. Can't go wrong there.
No. That looks like an Imperial TIE fighter. Not, when you think of that compared to the old stuff, it's like, yeah, that rocks the Imperialness for sure.
And Finn is just like so ready. He's scared of battle. He doesn't want to be a part of what the First Order is about, and then just immediately kills a bunch of fucking stormtroopers.
Yeah, guns them down, no problem. People he knew.
Poe's like, hey, get on the guns, and he's just like, all right,
yeah,
everyone, you're done. Dunzo. Doesn't care.
Yeah,
not even a second of like, hey, these are people. Maybe some of them want to get out of here.
Or,
nah.
Hey, these were my, I was just doing
I
calisthenics.
went through academy
with
one of these dudes. Yeah. Another thing that these two movies did, that the trailers for both this and The Last Jedi, they did a great job of using some of the movie's iconic shots, like when Finn and Poe crash land and Finn stands up without his helmet on Jakku in that desert scene. They use that shot, which is an iconic shot from this movie and very important, but the trailers never gave away the impact of any of those scenes.
No.
You just see Finn rise, but you have no idea what's going on. You don't know who Finn is. Like John Boyega's not really been in any movies either at this point, which is another great thing. They found these actors, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, even Adam Driver to this point hadn't been in a lot of things, and they're all just so fucking great in this movie.
Hell, even Oscar Isaac hadn't been in anything massive yet.
He was like an indie guy at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah. And that's the same thing with the original trilogy. Harrison Ford was the most well-known. I mean, Alec Guinness, I guess, would be more well-known, but he was barely in the movies.
I thought Harrison Ford was like a carpenter.
He was, but I think he did a couple other movies before Star Wars. I could be wrong.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they found a great squad. They're not that. The only one that's like decent and anything else is Domhnall Gleeson, Adam Driver, and
Domhnall Gleeson has, at this point, Domhnall Gleeson had been in a lot of things, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of indie shit too, like Oscar Isaac, I'd say.
Yeah, well, and Harry Potter, but
was he in Harry Potter?
Yeah, he's Bill Weasley, married to Fleur Delacour.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's that shitty hair. I could.
Yeah, like once you know it, because I've known him from other things before watching this movie, and then like somebody pointed out that he was Bill Weasley, and I'm like, oh shit, yes he is.
Bastard.
He almost snuck by me.
Almost.
I don't watch the Harry Potter movies that much, so. Oh yeah, so they crash land, and then Finn steals Poe's jacket. I can't blame him there. It's a dope jacket, and Star Wars really is great with jackets. A lot of great clothing choices, a lot of great jackets. You got Han's vest, you got Luke's gold jacket from Episode 4. This jacket is great.
Good
Princess
style.
Leia's got some great jackets. Really good style in a galaxy far, far away.
A lot better than what folks are wearing these days. You say that.
Chewie needs some jacket advice, though.
He needs some fucking underwear.
He's just
Tell you
running
what.
around hanging brain all day. And then we go back to Rey meeting Finn for the first time, and you really feel the chemistry between all of these different actors. Rey and Finn scenes, always great. Poe and Finn scenes, always great. Rey and Kylo Ren, fantastic. Even in The Last Jedi, everybody hates Rose for whatever reason. I don't have any problem with her. Finn and Rose had great chemistry together. Like, all of these actors do such a great job, not only within themselves, but together. And when Rey first meets Finn back on Jakku, and they're, first they're fighting, and then they're running together, and then they finally come across the Holy Grail, the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, piece of junk. It's a piece of trash.
The junk will do.
So.
Yeah, the trash will do. And the Millennium Falcon is just awesome. I don't care who's flying it. It's one of the best starships out there.
It's so iconic. I remember in theaters when it finally came on screen, and everybody was just like, yeah!
Well, because it went over my head a little when they ran by it, and she's like, oh, that's trash. We can't take trash. Like, we're not taking that trash, and it run to the other one. And then, like, as they turned, even before it came on screen, I was like, oh, no, this is what's happening.
This is about to go the fuck down.
Because everybody calls it, even in the original trilogy, they called it a hunk of junk. So it's out there. I think even in Solo, they don't refer to it fondly right away. But yeah, it's a great ship, and somehow it seems like when they're on these planets, it seems massive. And then when they get off planet and they're around Star Destroyers and the Death Star, it also seems super tiny. So it's cool that it's both at the same time a massive ship and a tiny ship.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps scale things, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And just a great scene flying off of Jakku, through all the down Star Destroyers and all of that to get off the planet. Great scene there. And then we get Kylo finding out that they got away. And I really enjoyed Kylo's angry outbursts. Like, he's this leader of this massive army and still in some ways just a petulant child who, when he gets mad, he takes his lightsaber and starts smashing shit.
Yeah.
Which is what I do when I lose at video games.
I thought that was fucking hilarious. I was just like,
well,
is
it's
he really
great
doing
because
this?
it's not just conflict in him. It shows that he's not fully grown and not fully committed. He hasn't cut himself off from his emotion like, other Jedi and other Sith have done. He's still very much on the balance between light and dark, that he can't control his emotions and he just freaks out.
He's like a teenager that's all pent up. So it reminds me of.
And Adam Driver does just an amazing job at portraying that.
Feeling a whole hell of a lot. And yes, he does.
We flash back to the Millennium Falcon. They're trying to get off. Rey asks, where's the resistance base that you're... And Finn and BB-8 kind of go back and forth at this point, and they finally agree to that BB-8 will tell her where the base is, and Finn gives him like a thumbs up. And I saw this posted on Twitter the other day, and I wish I remember what the user is, but they were like, Finn gives a thumbs up, and I to this day believe that BB-8 was flipping him off, not giving him a thumbs up back. And then when I watched it this time, I was like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. BB-8's like, no, fuck you.
I don't like you
for tricking me into this.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's great. And then Han and Chewie show up. Chewie, we're home.
Yeah, that was touching.
Just a great, like, I literally almost cried at that moment in the theater. I'm just like, wow, that was amazing. Like, the music behind it is so great, and you see it in Han's face, you see it in Chewie's face. They come on and they're home. And the first time I walked onto the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge, I had that feeling. Like, my thought was, Chewie, we're home. I had never been there before, though.
That'd be so dope. I'm jelly.
And Rey, says they made the Kessel run in 14 parsecs, and Han obviously corrects her because it's 12 parsecs. Get your shit right, Rey.
Bitch.
Can't be having that. And I always wondered, because then they talk about Luke Skywalker and the Force and blah, blah, blah. And she's talking about, oh, you're Han Solo from the Rebellion. Just how common are names in Star Wars? Like, is Han Solo akin to John Smith? Like, would you run across a bunch of people named Solo, or is he the only fucking one out there? Same with Luke Skywalker. Like, everybody has these iconic names to us because they don't exist, but, like, there's got to be another Leia out there somewhere, right? In the galaxy?
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. Just like
Jabba the Hutt can't be the only Jabba rolling around.
No, but I think there are those unique names, kind of like I don't know. I'm sure there was plenty of other Julius Caesars or Napoleon Bonapartes, but there was only that.
I suppose.
Julius Caesar
The
and
important ones,
Napoleon Bonaparte. It's really just.
Then we get the introduction of Snoke, and he's just so massive in his first appearance.
I fucking could not even stand him. As soon as he came on screen.
Well, he's definitely overcompensating for something.
Seriously.
With that massive hologram.
He's very ugly. He's very hard to look at.
Well, that's kind of the point. And Snoke's kind of, reading Kylo Ren the riot act here, saying to let him get away, blah, blah, blah. And Adam Driver is just so good when, basically in everything, even with the helmet on, when it's revealed that Han is his father and, he has BB-8 in his possession. And, he just says it's not a problem. And you can actually, see through the mask the conflict in his face when he hears that Han Solo has control of BB-8 of, shit, I'm going to have to face him. This is not something I wanted to do.
Yeah. You can see his heart.
But I'm willing to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
You can see his heart seize up in his chest. Like, fuck.
Mm-hmm. And the Mandalorian is really great at this, too.
Mm-hmm.
You can see Pedro Pascal's reaction. Even though you can't see his face, you know what emotions he's feeling through his mask. And it's just amazing how the guys working the camera and the actors are able to capture that and portray that while having a full mask on your face.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
And still we get the message from it, right?
I got it. Loud and clear.
Yeah. So then we get to Maz's, basically the cantina scene from New Hope. We're getting that here in Force Awakens. Really great. I want Maz to be more. This was just let's show off all our aliens. And I forgot to mention in that the meeting between Kylo Ren and Snoke, Snoke mentions that there's been an awakening. And this is another fan theory I read, is that the awakening is not actually Rey, but it's Kylo Ren. It's the light side inside Kylo that's awakened. And that's kind of why you see this conflict over Han and things like that is he's wavering right now. And that's what the awakening is. It's not Rey because no one's actually met Rey yet. Nobody's come across her close enough to know. She hasn't used the Force power. She hasn't touched that lightsaber yet. So
that's a really good point.
She's existed for 20 years, let's say, give or take. And if the awakening was her, it would have been at her birth or at some point when she showed Force abilities, or at least when Kylo or Snoke physically came across her, but none of that's happened yet. So I think I kind of subscribe to this fan theory that I read, and this was on Reddit 6 years ago, or 5 years ago when the movie came out, that, it's actually the awakening in Kylo Ren, and he feels it too. He knows it's there, and he's got to try and squash it back down.
He's trying like a motherfucker.
Yeah. We'll see if it works or not.
Yeah.
But anytime Rey comes into the picture, you can see it muddies up those waters.
Yeah, for more reasons than that, I want to say.
Boner reasons?
Sexy time reasons, maybe.
So we're in the cantina or Maz's, restaurant or whatever. I don't know how there's no picky eaters in Star Wars. All this shit just looks disgusting. And everybody's like, all right, cool.
Fucking frogs or runny, gross shit with lumps in it. It's like, yeah. Or, blue and green milky shit. Like, what are you guys just drinking? Ugh. Gross.
Yeah. I'm not here for it. And then Rey touches the lightsaber. And we get this flash of everything that happened with Kylo, everything that happened with Luke, Obi-Wan Kenobi saying her name, and just laying the groundwork for a lot of potential things. And I want to just start this next thing by saying that I love The Last Jedi, and that some of the directions that it went can still be open for interpretation and expanded on in The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm excited to see that. However, I need to know more about the visions that Rey had when she touches that lightsaber, right? It's Anakin's lightsaber. There's a lot going on. Everything in The Last Jedi can still be true from a certain point of view, and we can get more depth on what these visions were. You know, who her parents are, because that's another vision. She sees her parents flying off planet, and all of that can still exist. You know, the whole thing about Kylo Ren telling her parents are nothing, they mean nothing, they're no one. That can still exist. I don't necessarily think that's true anyways.
No.
But everything The Last Jedi did can still be true, and we can get more depth here. It's not like anything he did didn't wipe away these visions. They can still be explained in some way, and I'm going to need that from The Rise of Skywalker.
Absolutely. Hopefully they get that across, because we're going to have a hard time as is getting everything in there.
Yeah, I stand by, this was my thought after walking out of The Last Jedi, is that when Rey went into that cave on Ahch-To, and she just saw thousands of herself reflected, and my understanding of that was her deepest fear is that she's going to be all alone, that she is no one, that she has no parents, everything is just her, and it's intrinsic, and it's only her, and there's no way out of that. Because if you look back to, and I posted this on Twitter like a week ago, if you look back to Luke's journey into the cave on Dagobah, it's the same thing. He goes in there, and his greatest fear is he is Darth Vader. He turns to the dark side. That's what he sees in there. And what these visions are trying to do, and I mentioned something that happens in Rebels that I'm not going to talk too much here because you haven't watched it yet, but you basically get the same thing. This kid in Rebels sees his worst fears as he's going through kind of this Jedi, not a Force attunement training scenario type thing. And all of these are there to present you with your worst fears, and you can either give in to the fear and go to the dark, or you can fight the fear, push it down, and overcome it. And Luke did a good job of overcoming it. And on Ahch-To, Luke says you went straight for the dark. So I think there's more gray in Rey than we've seen in other characters, because she's not afraid to tap into that fear. She is okay going to the dark if it means finding what she's searching for.
That and surviving.
So she may be a more dangerous protagonist coming forward.
I totally agree.
And I hope we get that depth.
They have to. If not, then she'll just be another empty fucking character.
Right? Yeah. Then we get the First Order ready to launch Starkiller Base. Super Hitler vibes coming from Hux and the First Order before destroying 5 planets. Like, there's no way to look at that other than, hey, look, they're Nazis.
Well, yeah,
these are worse Nazis than the last Nazis we had.
And the look on Hux's face is just like, oh, yeah, baby. Like, he just came a little, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we go back to the battle down like around Maz's Cantina, and Finn uses Luke's lightsaber, which, like, he's using it, but he has no skill. So I'm not sure why the stormtrooper that, threw down his blaster and brought out the riot stick, just blast him, man. He's not going to block that shit. Finn has no skill whatsoever. He's not going to block any blaster fire coming from you, dude.
Well, especially because he knew that Finn was a traitor. So it's like, okay, this dude's never used a fucking Jedi.
Head.
Fuck yeah, shoot the fuck out. Shoot him in the leg. I mean, he'll go down.
Yeah, why are you going with the riot stick that clearly is only there to fight with the lightsaber? Like, just beat the guy with the lightsaber. Whatever. Then we got Kylo chasing Rey through the woods, and I really like this force sleep ability he has. Like, I want to be able to do that. Just bam. Kids are asleep.
Yeah. Shut up. And there you go. You could sell that to parents, especially if you could do it, like, over the phone.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing I want is just a straight-up Disney Plus show. If we don't get this in The Rise of Skywalker, and even if we get it, I don't think there will be enough of it. I want to see a Disney Plus show of the seduction of Kylo Ren by Snoke. Just what happened between training with Luke to actually going full, okay, I'm in First Order now.
Yeah, I would love to
Because I'm
see
sure
that.
we'll get some in The Rise of Skywalker, and we get more of the Knights of Ren and things like that. I just don't feel like they, in a, let's say 2.5 hours at most, they're going to get as deep as they need to. Because they still have a lot to explain about Rey, and they have to actually progress the story and defeat the First Order, hopefully.
We'll see, unless they just have a ton of exposition and then cram it all in the last 35 minutes.
I don't think they could fuck it up like that.
They fucked up the second one like that.
No, they didn't. You mean episode 2?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant The Last Jedi. I was like, no, that's not what happened at all.
No, you shut your fucking mouth, Nick.
And then we get Kylo interrogating Rey, and I really think Kylo should have or could have been more like charming and almost seductive to try and get this out of her instead of just like stealing her, basically raping her for it. Like, why not play off her loneliness, throw Han under the bus as a father figure, kind of like he did, and basically seduce her and use these kind of pickup artist type things on her to try and get it out of her. Be like, the Resistance doesn't understand you. Han Solo doesn't understand you. I understand you. I'm alone too. I want to help you. Help me. Luke Skywalker can't help you, but I can. Instead of just going, I'm just gonna fucking take what I want.
I'm right here. Like, look at me. And I mean, he's Han Solo's fucking... Well, spoilers alert. Spoilers.
I mean, yeah, I think we've already given that out.
Yeah, he's Han Solo's son. So, I mean, he has that charm. You know he does. And Leia's.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, it's something where they both were charmers.
Well, and it's kind of like, I mean, that's basically what Palpatine did with Anakin. And again, the dialogue makes it hard to see this in the prequels, but that's what Palpatine was doing. He was playing into Anakin's ego and saying, like, you should be on the Jedi Council. I can't believe they're not making you do this. You have the power. Oh, it's very good to see you. Like, just being nice to him and acting like he's helping him, not out of self-interest, but out of Anakin's interest. And in turn, that gives him that loyalty when he needs Anakin to turn later. Because again, as we talked about on last week's episode, Palpatine was a master manipulator, and he saw he would need Anakin 15 years in the future, so he did everything to groom him. And Kylo's just like, no, I'm going to take what I want.
Yeah, mine. This is mine.
And that's probably a little bit of the petulant teen in him as well.
Yeah, he has multiple outbursts like that.
And then Rey, just very easily walks her way out of the building with Daniel Craig. And the First Order stormtroopers, even though they seem a little more gung-ho in battle, they're definitely far more weak-minded than the original trilogy stormtroopers. He just, like, one word, and he's like, okay, from somebody who literally just learned about the Force.
They remind me of, conscripted people. They just don't really care. They don't have the training. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're just...
And then, I mean, same with the guy fighting Finn with his riot baton, like, first time using a lightsaber, and he gets his ass kicked by Finn. Phasma just gets punked out when they board Starkiller Base later, and he's like, hey, you're going to turn the whole ship over to us. And she's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
I'll lead the way. You don't want to do this, wink, wink.
We got to kind of speed through this. A lot of shit happens. Eventually, Han, Finn, Chewie go to Starkiller Base to try and save Rey and to bring it down. And we get Han and Kylo standoff on the bridge, and it is just so fucking awesome and gut-wrenching at the same time.
Man. Heartbreaking.
Han is reaching out to Ben. He calls him Ben. You can see that Ben is clearly conflicted, and again, Adam Driver just so great. You can see that he's not just setting up Han Solo as like, oh, I'm gonna ease the tension and then fucking kill you. Like, he's genuinely conflicted about what he should do. And there was, I don't know, a day maybe where I was like, maybe Han pulled the trigger on himself. Like, he saw the conflict in Kylo Ren, and instead of basically he turned the lightsaber on to kill himself so Kylo Ren didn't have to make that decision, right? To save him from the darkness inside him. If Kylo Ren doesn't have to make that decision to kill his father, then maybe there's still good in him. But if he does make that decision, then he's gone to the dark side. Like, there's no way to save him, right?
It's hard to say. I mean, they definitely cut it out.
That was my initial interpretation of it, is Han pulled it on himself. And after rewatching, he clearly didn't. Like, Kylo Ren shoves it deeper into him after it happens.
Yeah, he's very surprised.
I kind of liked that reading on it, too, of, like, Han is trying to help him with this conflict.
Yeah, it's his boy.
My baby boy.
It's my boy. You're my boy,
and we get the battle in the forest. And this, we mentioned on lightsaber episodes, this is one of my favorite lightsaber battles out there. You get, after Kylo got shot with the blaster bolt, he's hitting himself in the side
to
enhance
his...
Yeah, he's doing that to enhance his connection with the dark side, bringing more pain into his life. Finn trying so hard to protect Rey and just getting his ass beat. Rey force pulling the lightsaber and just the look on Adam Driver's face when she pulled it right past him. The blades and their contrast against the snow just look so amazing every time they clash. Rey with just absolutely no training, holding her own against Kylo. Yeah, he's injured, but still, like she's fighting out of emotion, and that's another thing that comes up as part of The Last Jedi is she's not afraid to give into her emotions of fear and anger and stuff like that to get what she wants. And that is maybe problematic for her come The Rise of Skywalker.
I'm sure it will be.
I'm hoping it will be, because that's a lot better than just, nope, she's good.
Yep.
She's all good. Don't worry about
Infallible.
it. Kylo reaches out, tries to get her to join him. Rey, she taps into the Force and just fully stops, meditates for a second, and figures out what she needs to do rather than letting Kylo convince her to come over. And then Kylo just forgets all his training and goes and tries to beat the shit out of her with brute force eventually to end it. Like, he's like, this isn't getting anywhere. I'm just going to slash the fuck out of her. And
Yeah.
she, again, holds her own.
Yeah, she's a talented fighter. The talented fighter.
Well, yeah, you can really tell, like, that break that she takes to, like, kind of meditate for a second, she's tapping into the Force to help her with this fight that she needs, and he kind of loses his connection into the Force, and that gives in too far to his anger. And it's really cool to kind of see her be better at that point, because she is one with the Force at this time, and he is beyond the Force and just trying to beat the crap out of her.
True that. Punk bitch.
They destroyed Starkiller Base. It never really feel like the Resistance won, though. Like, Kylo's still out there, Hux is still out there.
The majority of their armies are still out there.
Yeah, their whole army's pretty much out there.
It-
The Resistance is this small faction. The Galactic Republic was mostly blown up in those 5 planets. So we're going into The Last Jedi with not a ton of hope for the Resistance. Han Solo's dead now. That's going to hurt Leia. You didn't see much promising out of Poe. Your best new recruit is Finn, and Rey is already off to find Luke. And, her long walk up that mountain on Ahch-To is really great. Just going and going and going. I'm like, damn, are they going to... I thought it was going to cut off before she actually got there. Like, she was going to get to the top, and that was going to be the end. And then she goes to hand Luke the lightsaber, and, we don't know what's going to happen. What's he going to do with it?
I was pissed.
Is he going to keep it? Is he going to turn it on and fight her? What's Rey going to do with it? And then he just tosses it. But that's the first, 20 minutes of The Last Jedi felt really hammy. And they toned it down after that, because you had the whole thing with Poe calling General Hux on their Star Destroyer and trying to distract him that way, and then you had the thing with Luke throwing it over his shoulder. I'm like, all right, if that's the movie we're going to have where everything's just done for a cheap laugh, this is not going to be a good movie.
Yeah, I'll get up and walk the fuck
it
out.
Luckily corrected itself.
It had to.
And there were a lot of good things in it.
There were a lot of good things in it.
But again, that's not what we're here to talk about. Final thoughts. We went way longer than we usually do on this because it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, we did. Final thoughts. It's definitely a good opening installment into the newest trilogy of Star Wars. It couldn't have come at a better time. Like, I felt like the world needed Star Wars again. And we got it. And I think J.J. Abrams, who directed this, I believe,
Yes, that's true.
He definitely did well.
Yeah, I agree. I love this, and I like pretty much anything Star Wars. The biggest complaint out there, not my complaint, but the biggest complaint is that it was basically a retread of everything that happens in A New Hope. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm cool with
because that. Because I don't necessarily think it's a retread as much as it's just kind of using the same formula while hitting, a couple of familiar beats, like the cantina scenes, the giant monsters, the Rathars and the Sarlaccs and all that. You got the planet-sized weapon. But it's just a good formula that a ton of other stories and movies have used. So this one gets shit because it's in the same franchise, but it's basically all just, going on the hero's journey from a hero with 1,000 faces, and it's just one of the oldest formulas in storytelling. And it's one of the oldest formulas, and it still goes on because it fucking works, and it's great.
It is.
And we've got a stellar new cast. We've got great lingering questions at the end of this movie with kind of ambiguous endings on both sides for the First Order and for the Resistance. We don't know. Like, the First Order could be more shaken up on this than it seemed to be. The Resistance could be stronger after this. Turns out in The Last Jedi, neither of those things are true, but it's just, like you said, it's a great kickoff to a new trilogy. It's a great introduction for new Star Wars fans. If they hadn't seen the original or the prequels yet, you could dive into this and not really miss a beat because everything is so great and so fun, and the cast is great.
It left me wanting to watch more.
Yes, absolutely. And The Last Jedi did the same. I am super excited for The Rise of Skywalker next week. I don't know when I'm going to have time to see it, but I'm going to make time to see it, and I can't wait to be there.
It's going to be
dope. It's going to be great.
It's going to be dope.
And, like, it sucks that the Skywalker story overall is coming to an end, but also at the same time it needs to. Like, it's time for this to end and there to be something else going on in the Star Wars world, and this will be contained enough that that's it.
I agree.
And we don't need more from the Skywalkers and from Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren. I would love to see more because they're all great, but at the same time, let the past die.
Yeah, let's get some different characters in there.
Yeah. Look at The Mandalorian, you look at Rebels, you look at the Clone Wars, there's so many other good things going on that we can focus on. Solo was really good. Rogue One was fucking fantastic. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that you can tap into. I give The Force Awakens an 8.3 overall.
I give it a 7.8.
Whoa! That is harsh.
Yeah, there was a lot of it that I was just like, okay, dumb, but it had enough redeeming qualities. I rated The Last Jedi a little harsher. But
man,
you know me, dude.
I can't be harsh on Star Wars.
I'm trying to be, third party here.
No.
Trying to help these folks out.
It's all too good. All right, so that is The Force Awakens. Thank you for listening. We have to pick next month's movie for January 2020. We have a lot of possibilities. 828 possible movies from January. Let's throw that into the randomizer. Random number 1 through 828. Go! 304.
The sound effects are on point.
Thank you. The Convent.
That sounds familiar.
2000 comedy fantasy horror movie. 5.1 on IMDb, which comedy fantasy horror called The Convent, like, it's got to be a low rating on IMDb.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's a C movie.
Okay. The Convent. Nice. Next month. Be back for that. I know everyone's super excited.
Fuck you.
I am. Anyway, thank you for listening, and thanks for stopping by.
The Bible says man without vision shall surely die.
Welcome to a podcast about something's Patreon exclusive. Once a month, we review a random movie released in that month between 1975 and 2015.
I said, baby, I don't hate you, but I hate to see you go.
Welcome to Random Reviews. We're back again, coming at you hard and heavy with a review of the, forgot what year it was already.
2000.
2000. I was going to say 2001. 2000 film, The Convent.
And I thought it was made in 1978.
At times, it definitely looked like that. There is a remake of this movie that was done in the last 10 years. We're not reviewing that. We're reviewing the 2000 version, released in January of 2000. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So we open up with a lady. I'm Calvin. That's Nick, by the way. Anyway,
yeah.
Who cares? Yeah. We open up with a lady busting into a church and shooting up some fucking nuns and a priest. And I don't know anything about the movie. That lady's a badass. That's all I could tell. You just know coming in.
This movie grabbed me immediately because the opening
flicks
track,
the cigarette in the parking lot,
blows everything up. But I mean, the opening track is really perfect for the moment, and this chick just comes in chugging booze and smoking a cigarette, And then, I mean, straight up massacres a church, and it's fucking
Yeah, she's
bananas.
had it with these nuns, man.
Yeah, nuns are talking shit.
She beats the nuns with a bat, and then lights a priest on fire before pulling out her shotgun
Dude,
and
the sound
shooting
effects.
everyone.
The sound effects are great. Like, ah! Like that standard scream that's in, C and D list movies. They utilize that soundtrack hard.
Oh yeah. Then we get out of it after she beats everyone up, kills everyone with the shotgun, lights the whole damn place on fire. We flash to some college kids, probably 20 years oldish, right? One girl and another girl. They used to be friends, but now they're not because one's popular and one's goth. And those in 2000, they can't get along.
No, that was a big
It's tale
deal.
as old as time.
Yeah, if you weren't alive back in the 2000s, or you weren't young in the 2000s, goths, man, they were fucking active. They were active as
it was a big thing.
And let's just say goth girl is Mo, and
I didn't know.
blonde cheerleader.
I don't know any of their names except Friholy.
I know Mo and Clarissa and Christine.
So speaking of Friholy, the popular girls' friends all show up, including Friholy, and we just get some super overt lesbian shaming right out of the gate. This movie could not be made in we're in 2020 now, not 2019 anymore. There's no way that this movie with this script could be made nowadays.
Fuck no. I mean, it would be Me Too'd all over.
Yeah.
Especially later in the movie, it gets bad. It lays it on thick.
So I made a note here because Friholy, as I've mentioned, the only reason I know his name is because he's super boisterous. He's all about getting laid and calling people gay and lesbians and whatever else he can think of, just shaming the shit out of everyone for any little quirk that they might have. In my notes, and like when they pull up, he's just yelling at everyone and being a obnoxious dumbass. Like we all have that friend, right, who drank 2 beers and is all of a sudden at a fucking 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
That's Friholy. My note here is he's definitely going to be the first to die, right?
Was
just
that
at this point in the movie.
Was that the mixed dude?
Yeah, I think so. He must have been. His name's Friholy.
Yeah, that's
Frihello. Yeah. Maybe a Frihello? I got Frijelo. No, it's Friholy. I just spelled it wrong that first time.
Holy.
Okay.
What fucking name is that?
Yeah, it's a strange name, and he ended up, spoilers for later in the movie. He wasn't the first to die, surprisingly.
No, it's like they were aware of that trope, and they were like, we can't fucking do this in this movie, guys. Like, that'll make or break this fucking movie. We cannot kill the black guy first.
So they get together. Go ahead.
I thought it was I was thinking of the dude that's like just the dumb, arrogant.
Oh yeah,
fuck.
like I think there's a jock in the car that he's just like, yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to go to the convent to fuck his girlfriend. That's all he cares about.
No, the stoner like.
Oh yeah,
fucking fake wannabe wankster bitch.
That might be for Holy. I don't really know.
The one that smokes the weed. And spoilers,
that's
takes
for Holy.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, that's for Holy.
Okay.
Yeah,
we got to get on the same page. This is how confusing.
But I think he's mixed.
This movie is.
See, you said mixed. I thought he was like mixed Mexican and white, not mixed black and white.
No, the black
That's
and white
probably
dude's
not
a
her
separate guy.
Yeah. I know that now. I see what you're saying now.
Okay.
So they get basically what's going on in this movie is this group of kids is going to the convent that the woman in the opening shot up to prove something. And the goth chick wants to go with them for some other reason.
For some occult reasons.
Yeah, she wants to go because she's goth, and that's cool, right?
Yeah.
But the popular kids, they want to go because it's like almost some fraternity hazing. Not really hazing, just like a rite of passage within their fraternity sorority type thing. And so they want to go. They've got to spend their night there, They think they can do it. Anyway, we learn once they get to the convent that the priest had knocked up Christy. She was the girl in the beginning. I did write that name down. Who's now the local crazy woman. And they performed an illegal, unconsented abortion on her. And that's when she came back and killed them all and has spent the next 30 years in the nut house.
They're
so
very specific
that's
about
what we saw. Yeah, that's what we saw in the opening. Is basically after that had happened, she came back and killed them all.
And we later find out, spoilers again, that she's basically Sarah Connor.
Kind of, a little bit. And I just felt, they're in the convent. There's creepy that nothing satanic is quite happening yet, but they're just kind of wandering around, and there's some creepy goings on around them, and everybody's just super psyched to have sex.
That's all they want to do.
A little too much for their surroundings, in my mind.
That place is dirty as fuck. You know there would be like bums that went in there and shit. There'd be needles everywhere, glass. And it's like, oh hey, let's bang on this dusty cupboard or this floor of glass. Fuck that.
So the main popular girl like hears a noise, and the jockey dude who she's now dating is like, oh no, it's fine. For Holy's weed was probably just laced with something, and they're just like blowing it off like that's no big deal.
Yeah.
In the year 2000.
Oh, whatever.
Doesn't matter what it was.
He says it like 4 or 5 times. He's like, it was just laced with something. It's cool.
And then the biggest reveal of the movie.
Dang.
Coolio.
The cop.
As a cop.
Dude, he was the best
I wrote
part
in
of
all
this
caps.
movie.
Coolio is in this movie. What the fuck is going on?
And he's straight up Coolio, too. He's not like any different.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's just like Coolio. They were like, hey, Coolio, put this
Just
on.
come in here and say some words. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Pretend to be a cop.
He's like, what's the script? And they're like, just wing it, buddy. And
we
so
learned that the goth chick stays in the convent because she wasn't allowed. She's on like academic probation or something. If she got caught in there, she'd be kicked out of school. So Frijole's like, oh yeah, I got you, and then like immediately narcs her out as quick as possible.
This is after trying to bang her.
Well, yeah. Well, she promised that she would bang him if she lied for him. Anyway, she gets stuck there, and that's when the satanic things start happening.
Ooh, buddy.
And there's really, at this point, there were some actual times that I laughed, and there are some funny parts, but they're not in parts that they're trying to actually be funny. Like, there's porta potties they go to this diner and they have to go outside and use these porta potties, and there's like a funny exchange that happens there. And for Holy just being overall stupid is really funny, but not ever in the way the movie intends it to be. He's supposed to be like this. He's supposed to be funny to himself, but really he's just funny because he'd get the shit me too'd out of him nowadays, and it's funny to watch somebody be that out of their mind and
I would beat the
lacking
fuck
self-awareness.
out of that, dude. Oh my god. Yeah. I was so sick. When he's just, okay, he basically tries to rape Mo. She literally says, no. I said no. And he's like, they all say that, baby. And he goes, it's just you, me, and the Chronic, baby. It's like, this dude.
But see, that's
he needs
really
to be
funny.
slapped in the fucking face.
So the movie, when it was made, thought that line would be funny because that's what pushy jockey guys do. And, oh, it's funny to say the Chronic for weed instead of that. But really it's funny because it's so stupid.
Fuck yeah.
Like, it's so beyond stupid that, like, thinking that people spoke that way is funny to me.
I feel old as fuck now.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it.
Like, I imagine that's what people, that's how adults must have looked at us when I'm in middle school and I'm saying things. I didn't say things quite like that, but like saying these weird slang terms. Yeah, okay, that I can see why they would think those were stupid now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. On fleek.
Yeah, exactly. Or somebody saying lit AF. Can't handle it.
My 40-year-old boss says that.
On purpose or to be funny?
On purpose.
So then comes the aforementioned shrooms part, where they get back to the convent after going to this diner and they realize that they left Mo there. So like, we gotta go back and get her. So they all go back, and Frijoles really wants to go back because she promised to bang him. And the popular girl, she's her friend, so she wants to go back. And Frijoles gets there and he decides he's gonna shroom out.
Yeah,
like, not a great idea, dude.
Yeah, that is the weirdest place. Well, he left his stash there when the cops showed up. And that's where Coolio came in.
Yeah,
and
fucking Coolio.
So he's just immediately like, I need some mushrooms in my life. I need to trip right fucking now. And then he proceeds to eat a whole bag of mushrooms.
Yeah, a lot of shrooms. And then we realize that Mo is actually literally being sacrificed because she's a virgin. And like, it's super over the top, and I'm like, this has got to be like a dream or like something induced by the atmosphere of the convent. I'm like, there's no way this is like a real thing that's happening. But oh no, it totally is, and these
Totally
people
real.
are like a cult in training, and they're super bad at it.
Yeah, they're way over the top.
I
They
couldn't
work at
tell if
fucking
like
Dairy
she's
Cream.
dreaming or if this is part of uh Frijoles shroom trip, or like if it's actually supposed to be real. Like there's never any break between like what's real and what's not. And then it turns out everything's real. So, but it doesn't seem like everything should be real because it's so cheesy and so over the top.
Oh, and everything is just low grade. It reminded me of Freddy Krueger movies from 1980s or whatever. Whenever those came out, it reminded me of like a dream sequence from that.
It does a really bad job of actually being scary, because anything that should be a little scary, any of those moments, like even the jump scares, anything like that, it's so weird that it ends up feeling like a joke or a bad dream. So
bad.
they set up some tension where there could be scary moments, but then it goes in this opposite direction of like, let's go so over the top with it that people are just end up laughing at it because it looks so stupid. Or that we're so over the top that your suspension of disbelief is gone and you're thinking, okay, somebody's having a dream, or Frijoles fucking tripping on shrooms.
Yeah, this is just a trip. This shit is whack.
Yeah, it doesn't ever feel like anything's really happening, and the characters don't really ever seem to feel like they're actually in danger, and that's a problem when, like, your characters actually have to feel like they're scared of being there. None of them ever feel like they feel that.
Yeah, until they get killed. And even then, it's just like, oh, hey, they're dead.
And there's always weird music going on, too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just amps it up.
Bad sound effects, man. That it's fucking terrible. The sound effects throughout this whole movie were booty.
Yeah. And we get kind of down to the end of it. The popular girl runs away. She goes to Christie's, and we find out that the place was really actually haunted. But there were moments where if it still turned out to be Frijoles' trip, that I wouldn't have been surprised. Like if this whole thing, like when they went back to the convent, he was the only one that actually went back and he got his stash and he was just shrooming out the whole time. There was nobody else there. Like I would have never been surprised if that was what the twist at the end of the movie was.
No, especially since some chick gets her face ripped off, like just straight peeled.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
Yeah, it was super weird. It was like a line. They're just like, and the standard.
The cult is very like.
There's a gay dude.
Well, yeah, they're gay, and it's not that they're gay. That's a problem. It's that like he's just
so
like
over the top,
really propositioning everyone with a penis just to see what would happen.
He basically tries to like rape another dude.
He does try and rape, like, I don't know if this dude's meant to, the main girl's brother. He's like trying to get into the fraternity, but all the actual frat guys are just taking advantage of him and basically shit on him the whole time, and make him do all their bitch work. And the gay guy from the cult is trying to like proposition him the whole time, even though he knows he's not all there. Like it's super. This movie needs to be Me Too'd, like you said, on every level.
It was fucking weird. But I do want to say something that I thought was really neat about this movie.
Okay.
At one point, when the guy that works at the Dairy Cream, not the Dairy Queen, that had the shitty mustache, like the leader of the weird wannabe cult, he had a knife that he was going to stab, I don't know, not Christine,
Someone.
Clarissa. That's it. I have
Doesn't
that knife.
even matter in this movie.
I have that knife. You know, I saw it and I was just like, oh my god, my knife is fucking famous.
There we go.
I came home from work and told my wife about that.
I bet she was super excited.
She was just like, why the fuck do you have a big ass knife like that, honey? I mean, it's been in a box for
That is a good question.
Years. I used to collect swords and knives because I was fucking weird. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, everybody has their thing. So the main girl, everybody's basically turned, and they get bled on, blood rains from the showers. Everybody's turned into convent nun zombies at this point, who are out to basically kill and possess everyone else. And so the main girl, she runs away. She goes to Christy. She's like, you're the only one that stopped him. And we find out what really, really happened when the convent was originally shut down. We find out there was no abortion, but an actual demon just body snatched first one nun just playing out in the garden, and then every other nun one by one. And I thought this was weird because she's like, well, the next day at school we knew something was wrong, but they've got like green eyes and fangs and their face is black.
Veins
like, really?
all over and shit, and they're fucking puking on people.
They write Hail Satan on the chalkboard, and you're like, we thought something was up, but we're like, just, yeah, well, maybe we'll learn something here today.
Fucking beating the dog shit out
Yeah,
of these kids.
Everybody's getting beat. Like, we thought something was up, but we really just couldn't put our finger on what it was. We didn't know.
Shit, like, I mean, they literally puke on this chick, and when they do it, it looks like
that was rough.
they picked it up from, you know, a Nickelodeon set when they used to slime people. They're like, hey, can we get some of that with, like, your guys' leftover lunch? Or, you know, do you have any dog droppings around here we can throw in it?
And it turns out that the demon that possessed everyone, she was pregnant, but they didn't perform an abortion. But the demons wanted her baby because baby blood is stronger than virgin blood. So they wanted to use that baby to perform their satanic magic. So whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
that didn't actually happen. She had the baby, right? That's what happened with that?
Yeah, he's a successful guy somewhere.
Right, yeah, he's just like a random ass guy now. Yeah. But so they go back and, you know, like you said, Christy turns out to be Sarah Connor, just does the same shit she did in the opening. Everyone's taken out now. So the main girl loses all her friends. Every single one of them in there. They all die. But she saves her brother, and she gets a 4.0 in school. Like a free 4.0 because all her friends died. They're like, well, we'll just pass you. Don't worry about anything. So, you know, that's good.
Smoking and, you know. Then she proceeds to throw across like a fucking sinner. Goddamn sinner.
Well, and then we find out, dun dun dun, the dog is a demon now.
Oh my god, that was so fucking
like the demon possessed their dog. Because the dog was there with them the whole time, too. It was for Holy's dog, I think.
He was outside the whole time.
Yeah, so the demon possessed the dog as the last minute act.
Yeah, and his eyes glowed like neon Joker hair green.
Yeah. And that's the end of the movie. You know, that's the sequel bait. What happens when the dog becomes a demon in the Convent 2, we'll never know. Because this movie was terrible and they never made a sequel.
I mean, that's probably a good thing. I can't believe someone was paid money to make this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't ever quite sure what it actually wanted to be, whether it was like horror with a bit of comedy or comedy with a bit of horror or just like a straight up parody. And they just kind of straddle all three of those things. Someone at one point even said, stick it in your ear. Completely normal. Like that was a thing that they said to another person as an insult. Like straight-faced. It wasn't ironic in any way. They're like, hey, do this. And she's like, stick it in your ear, Blaze.
It was all shit like that. It's like, it was weird cuts. So it'd be like, you shouldn't say that about people. Cut back to the other guy. Fuck you.
That was way too toned down. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you,
gotta
man.
Get, like, the weird...
Let's hit this chronic, baby. It's fucking... Let's go fuck. You know, it was a caricature of everybody. Some dude has his guts ripped out, and he's just sitting there, like, playing with it for a while. If this
movie was trying to be a parody, it would have done a good job at that. If it was trying to be a comedy with, like, some horror elements, I think it could have done that. If it was trying to be a horror movie with some funny scenes, it could have done that. But it didn't do any of those things.
No, it wanted to be Scary Movie, almost, is what it kind of reminded me of.
But it didn't go all the way into that ever.
Exactly, and no one could deliver their lines worth of shit anyways. Except for Mo. Mo was pretty good. She was a solid actress, but everyone else, it was like they were fucking talking to themselves in the mirror.
This movie was fine for me to have on in the background. Like, I was watching it while I was working. Like I said, there was some potential that if they would have just picked one of those lanes, and it would have been okay, but like they just kept shifting the tone of the movie, and it just made it really hard to watch. Like, I would not have been able to sit and watch this movie.
No,
I would have been like, this is awful. The effects were bad. The acting was bad. There's really just not much good that you can say about this movie other than that you owned the knife.
Yeah, I owned the knife, and Coolio was in it.
Yeah,
Coolio was pretty good.
Coolio showing up is always great in a movie. I remember an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This is the old Sabrina the Teenage Witch in the 90s that Coolio was in. And just like I have this vivid memory, he was some magical being and he would show up in the dumpster outside of the coffee shop she worked in and like help her through some things. He was in like one episode, but that was his role.
That's fucked up.
But I remember it was Coolio. I can't tell you really anything else about that show. I watched it most nights on TGIF, but like I don't remember anything really that happened. But I remember those Coolio scenes of him like coming out of the dumpster.
He's like, "Hey, what up? I'm Coolio."
Do you have any other final thoughts that we haven't covered?
No, fuck this movie. Me Too.
Yeah, I
out
gave
the
it.
ass.
This has been my lowest rating ever on random reviews. I gave it a 4.3 out of 10,
I give it yeah. I mean that sounds
which might
about
be
accurate.
generous.
That's pretty generous. I want to give it like a 3.1.
I did laugh sometimes. I was laughing at it, but I did laugh.
I laughed at Coolio. There was
Yeah.
that, and the opening was really good. The opening had me, especially when she just walks in, and that was funny in my opinion. I know it's terrible to say this woman beating nuns with the bat was funny, and then blowing them all away with the shotguns. Well, not
Like,
even that. It was just like absurd, but they played it off perfectly. Like they actually played to the comedic side in that scene. Like they leaned into it there.
This is over the top, and this movie's going to be over the top, but it's also going to be like that part of the movie was much cooler. So that gives it about like a half a point bump, and the fact that I laughed, that gives it like a half point of bump, and just that's about all I got for it.
That's all I got for it.
All right, so let's pick next month's movie.
Let's do it. Hit me.
For February, we have 523 movies. And if you don't know, we choose a movie that was released in every month from 1975 to 2015, and we're going to generate a number between 1 and 523.
Boom.
319.
It's a good number.
Maybe. We'll see. Driving Lessons. 2006 comedy drama.
Sounds terrible.
It's got a 6.8 on IMDb. That's solid. That's better than the Convent from 2000.
Yeah, that is true. I don't even know what Convent had.
It was around a 4.
That sounds about right.
Oh, it's got Rupert Grint.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ron Weasley himself.
Fuck yeah.
This is a British film, apparently. Looking to earn some cash and to get out from under the thumb of his domineering mother, shy teen Ben Marshall accepts a job working as an assistant to a retired soap opera actress with an unquenchable thirst. So there's going to be some banging in this movie for young Ronald Weasley.
Get it, son.
I'm in on it, man.
All right, I'm game. What is this called?
Driving Lessons.
Driving Lessons. I think I might have heard of this.
I had never heard of it before this moment, so... All right, that's all we got for this week's random review. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for being a patron, and most of all, thank you for stopping by.
The Bible says man